Do you want to earn $200,000 of actual, real, passive cash flow from your investing portfolio? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how you can generate this amount of money from real estate down to every dollar of revenue you take in and every expense that you pay out. Hey everyone, it's Dave from BiggerPockets, and I think it's fair to say that pretty much everyone wants to achieve financial independence and retire early. But what does that actually take? How many units do you need? How much cash flow do you need to generate? And how long in terms of years will it take you? Today, I'm going to show you how one investor from BiggerPockets has built a portfolio that generates $200,000 in real cash flow with just 16 units, and it took him just 13 years. And this information, the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you today, comes from the BiggerPockets community. It's a member named David Sean who posted this really cool chart to the BiggerPockets Forum to share how he has grown his portfolio and exactly down to every dollar and cent what it has taken him to get that 200 grand in cash flow per year. And when I saw this on the forums, I was excited to share it with all of you because I think it offers a rare glimpse and some real transparency into what actual portfolios look like. And the chart and numbers that I'm going to share with you is sort of the stuff that you see in corporate earnings calls from public companies, not the kind of stuff that people are showing up to real estate meetups with and sharing with everyone. So I thought this was a really cool, unique opportunity. Here's what David has done. David owns just 3 properties. And if you're kind of shocked by owning just 3 properties and generating $200,000, I was too, until you see exactly how he's done it. He bought these properties over the course of 13 years and was still building a life. He has a full-time job. He has a 401k. He's done other stuff as well. To acquire these 3 places, David spent $2 million over the course of 13 years. So putting 25% down, which is what most investors do, that means he's put about $500,000 of his own money into his portfolio. And that, of course, is a lot of money. 500 grand is a lot, but that's what it takes to generate a lot of cash flow. Because remember, David is generating now, 13 years into his career, 200 grand per year. If you want to get cash flow of 70 grand a year, about the national median, you could probably put in about a third of what David did at, $170,000 or $200,000. But we'll talk about that more in just a minute. So anyway, he's got these 13 units and he describes them as not upscale, but solid neighborhoods where he's able to quickly find renters. I think that is good advice for anyone who's looking to build a rental portfolio, is to find a place where there's going to be good demand, because what I've learned over the course of my investing career, the longer I do this, is that vacancies are what really kill your deals. And so you want to find places where there's going to be an abundance of renters who want the type of property that you own and that you're putting out there on the market. So he's got these 16 units in these pretty desirable neighborhoods. He's got 500 grand total invested. What does that actually net him every month, every year? Well, all told, he collects a pretty staggering $378,000 a year in revenue, which comes out to an average of almost $2,000 per month. It's $1,970 per month per unit. And that's a bit above the national average, which makes sense given the price per unit that David paid for each of these places. But that's really good, solid rental income. The good thing is that it's not exceptional rental income. It's not like he's getting well above the national average or some crazy numbers. This is within about the average, which I think is $1,700 or $1,800 a month in the US. So it's a little bit higher than that, but nothing exceptional to be able to generate the rents that David is getting. I think it's important to note here that David probably wasn't generating this level of revenue right away, right? He's been doing this over 13 years. And so that goes to show what it takes to achieve financial independence is a bit of patience. I am sure that when David bought these properties, he was maybe making, I don't know if about half, but maybe 2/3 or 3/4 of what he was getting for revenue. And he's been patient and waited. And as rent has gone up, he's been able to generate more and more revenue, but his debt has been fixed. And that is one of the many beauties of real estate investing. The revenue is great, but what we all really care about at the end of the day is cash flow. And if you're not familiar what the difference is, revenue is just how much money you take into your business every month and every year. So in terms of rental property investing, that's just how much your total rents come out to. But to figure out what your cash flow is, because cash flow is what you actually walk away with, the money that you can use to spend on your life, you have to subtract all of your expenses. And I mean all of them. None of that social media expenses where you just subtract your mortgage payment. You have to subtract that, of course, but also your taxes, your insurance, your repairs, your maintenance, your CapEx, your management fees, all of that. And that's what I think is so cool about this chart that David has put up here on the BiggerPockets forums, is that he doesn't spare any detail. He doesn't gloss over any of the parts of rental property investing and being a real estate investor that people don't really like talking about. He gets into every dollar and cent that he spends. Let's break it down. Now, not surprisingly, David's biggest expense is his mortgage. That's true for most of us. He's paying about 44 grand per year on his mortgage, or a little bit less than $4,000 per month for all 16 of these units. And if you're thinking and doing the numbers in your head and you're thinking that's pretty low for that number of units, you're absolutely right. Even though he's owned this for a while, he probably bought these properties at a good discount and probably with a pretty decent interest rate. But when I went and dug into David's story a little bit more, he revealed that he has been aggressively paying down his mortgage as opportunistically as he can. So that means he's taking some of the cash flow that he was generating, even from the beginning of his property, and paying down his loan. And when you owe less money and when you have less principal on your mortgage, that means your monthly payments are going to be less. And that means your cash flow each and every month are going to be more. And then because your cash flow is more, you can pay down your loan even more aggressively. And so he's created this sort of virtuous cycle where he is paying less and less, and that's growing his profit each month, increasing his cash flow. Not everyone wants to do that, but I'm just showing you how David's been able to create such a huge cash flow source for himself, and paying down his mortgage is one of the key components of his strategy. So beyond his mortgage, David obviously has a lot of other expenses here. So let's just talk about the big ones. The next huge one is taxes, which is about $30,000 per year. His management fees are costing him about $22,000 a year. And he's, of course, paying a lot of money in insurance, too. David is accounting nearly $25,000 for utilities. So it sounds like he's paying at least some of his utilities for his tenants, maybe not all of them. Sometimes that happens where you pay gas and water, but not electricity. It just kind of depends on the individual properties. But I'm glad to see that he's breaking that out here. The one part of his breakdown that I have some questions about is his repairs and CapEx. Now, repairs at $10,000 a year, not crazy, depending on the status of the property, but $1,000 in repairs per unit does seem a little bit low to me, but this is just a 1-year snapshot that David is sharing with us. So maybe he had a really good year and got lucky, basically, and a lot of his repairs were the year before, or they're going to be next year. But the thing that really stands out for me that I personally wouldn't advise that you do is this CapEx line here, the second line where he's spending about $1,400 in CapEx. If you don't know what this line means, CapEx is capital expenditures, and it's similar to repairs, but it's actually for bigger expenses, like repairing appliances, like he noted here, repairing your roof, replacing a water heater. Those types of things are capital expenditures. And the reason I don't like just listing out what he paid for in year is that CapEx, by their very nature, are things that only happen every couple of years. If you're lucky, you're replacing a water heater every 8 years or 10 years, a roof 25 or 30 years. So I recommend when I calculate cash flow is I actually set aside that money each and every year. I figure out how much a roof's going to cost me every 25 years. It's going to be 30 grand every 25 years. To replace a boiler every 40 years, what's that going to cost me? Replacing the siding every 30 years. Then I divide that by the average lifespan of each of these appliances, and I put that aside. So for me, on properties like this, that would usually come out to $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 a year. Now, I get it. He's not spending that in this year. But when I consider cash flow, I would remove that because that's money that the business is going to come calling for one year or another, right? It's not my money to go spend on my lifestyle or whatever I want to do with it. I think of that as the business's money. I'm just going to hold it in reserves, and one day the business is going to need it. And I'm not going to say, oh, now I have to come out of pocket for it, because that was the business's money in the first place. All right, so aside from that one sort of modest critique, although I would do it, I do think this is how you should be thinking about your rental business, right? It is fun. It is more sexy to just look at the rental income side of things and just, take off what your mortgage payment is. But this is reality. This is what it looks like to run a business. You have all these line items. Some of them are $20, some of them are $20,000. But you really should be tracking each and every one of them. Because when you look at David's success, I have no doubt that it comes down to his diligence in running his business like a professional. He was able to build this portfolio because he diligently tracked expenses, because he chose to reinvest his profits and his cash flow into reducing his expenses over the long term by paying down his mortgage, and because he was patient. He focused a lot on something that I am a big fan of. You don't have to do this, but he focused on quality over quantity, which means he'll have lower expenses and less management costs over the lifetime of his portfolio. And by doing this, he was able to create a very profitable business for himself where his profit margin is nearly 50%. You can't find a lot of businesses that generate this kind of profit margin where your revenue is almost $400,000 and you're pulling out $200,000 in pure profit from it. So kudos to David. But I also just want to reiterate that this is something that you also can do. David has done a great job showing his work here, but what he has done is not that unique or not that exceptional. These are things that you can do for yourself. So if you are currently investing in real estate or you are thinking about investing in real estate, here is what I suggest you do next. First and foremost, if you got a portfolio, do exactly what David did today for As Your Portfolio Stands. Make this chart. You can actually use the same tool David told us. It's SankeyMATIC.com. We'll put a link to that below. You can make a similar chart to this. Map out where all of your revenue is going and where all of your expenses are going. And I will just tell you from experience, when you do this, it can be a little bit painful. Sometimes you see that you are wasting money or you are inefficient in certain parts of your business, and that's okay. The first step here is to understand what is going on in your business. You can't fix it. You can't get better until you've diagnose the problem. The same way that you would do with your personal budget, right? I admit I am very bad at personal budgeting, but I've been trying to get better at it just over the last couple of months. And you have these painful experiences, but it gives you the information to get better and to improve on your spending habits. Same thing is true with your business. The second thing that I recommend you do is to chart out what you think your chart could look like in 10 to 15 years. What kind of business do you want to run? Do you want to run a business like David's that is highly efficient, right? Harvesting these 16 units that he accumulated. Now, if you want a different looking portfolio, you can do that. There are a lot of people out there who would prefer to have a 30 unit portfolio or a 50 unit portfolio or a 70 unit portfolio. But there is an inevitable trade-off there where you're going to be less profitable with each unit, and that might expose you to more upside, but it's going to be more work and there's probably more risk. And that decision, there's no right or wrong answer. It's really up to you, which is why it's so important to sort of do the work right now and chart out what you think your business should look like. Do you want it to be low expense and relatively safe and produce a great margin? Or do you want it to be high growth with more leverage and more ability to really maximize every single dollar that you're putting into your portfolio? The choice is yours, but my recommendation is to spend the time to map this out for yourself, because once you have that game plan, sort of the blueprint for building that portfolio, figure out what deals you're going to do, how to invest your money, how to reinvest your profits becomes a whole lot easier. That's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully you found this content as useful and as inspiring as I did. I really want to go do this for myself right now and see where my business is losing money, where I'm doing well, because I think it's going to really help me refine and prune my portfolio over the next couple of years. If you have any questions or comments about this, please let me know in the comments below. If not, we'll see you next time.